Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Betsy McDaniel in for Debbie Lyons today, and with me first is Amanda Onan from ClearCollegeCounseling, and we have a lot to talk about today because the face of everything has changed.
Exactly.
So let's start a little bit with, obviously the schools are not going back, at least the public schools aren't going back in person right away. They're going online like they did in the spring, and that is not easy for a lot of people. The kids themselves, single parents. Let's talk about what it looks like and how we can help navigate this situation.
So it can be so frustrating, but I'm hoping that all of this frustration really becomes a positive. We've just got to, as a parent and community, lay down some positive foundation for students. So going back virtually and parents going back to work is really the recipe for potential disaster.
Right.
Because children like my own children are not necessarily going to jump out of bed to get excited about getting onto their Google Classroom and finding out which time they have Zoom for a class that they might not really care, and now they don't even connect to the teacher because they've lost that personalization.
Right.
And so to them, it's just a warm body over there on the other side of the computer screen. So I think that we as parents have to make sure at home we have set up a routine prior to Tuesday with an individualized workspace. Mm-hmm. Bed and being in your pajamas is not going to be sufficient, that they need to make sure they have expectations. Right. And it goes on and on. There are so many online resources and there are so many tutorial opportunities, and there are ways to verify that your kids truly turn things in.
Yeah.
So those pieces, that groundwork is very important.
And so you, though, also with your business are kind of thinking about expanding into helping in that situation as well.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So within our business, obviously we have students that we meet with on a weekly basis just to sort of be that mom and say, all right, pull up Power School. All right, you said you've turned that in. Let me email and verify that you've turned that in. Or let me check on that paper that you're actually truly trying to write or that you say that you're writing. Or if your outline or your note cards aren't due to Friday and it's Saturday, why haven't we gotten started? So as a business, we're sort of that mom that becomes the nagging parent and alleviates that headache, that fight, that struggle that can sometimes occur at home. And then the other part of it is I've branched off and obtained some classroom space in various parts of Beaufort County and sort of starting a school that has 6-foot stations, and I'm going to be the parent, and I've hired proctors as teachers to be the person that holds them accountable, keeps them focused, and again gives kids a purpose, a place to report to.
Which I think that is, like you're talking about, is really such a key because
Exactly.
for all of us, if you don't have to go to work and you're sitting in your pajamas all day, you don't feel as productive as if you have a purpose and you're going to do something. And so then what else has changed is, of course, the face of college and college admissions and the testing, which has become optional. Talk to us a little bit about how somebody who is starting the application process can navigate that effectively this year.
Exactly. So obviously colleges look so different today. And even if we didn't face COVID-19, college application process is so different than when you and I applied. So if we think that we're going to get that 14-page application and get out our blue ink pen, it's not like that anymore. And the fact of whether you apply directly versus going through Coalition, or whether you use the Common App, or whether you do a personal essay, all matters, even though it might say optional. And whereas before, we just signed it, put the stamp on it, and sent it in the mail, and off it went.
Right.
So that's changed. And then, of course, the SAT and the ACT. The state of California just decided that, not necessarily because of COVID, but they'll no longer use the SAT or ACT in any of their state schools as a determining factor because it's a biased test in regards to admissions to their colleges. So the face of the credit score, the data that we look at typically is completely changed and flipped upside down.
Right.
So students have to have a lot of other tools in their toolbox to put the best package together to put themselves forward when we don't necessarily have a long history of SAT and ACT testing anymore.
Right. And so what do you think are those important things to have in the toolbox now?
So I tell students often, if you can get registered for the ACT and the SAT, go for it. But so many of our schools are test optional at the moment. But if you have an awesome score, we're going to put that in the toolbox. Check, ding, that's a great mark.
Yeah.
Obviously, the most challenging course load that you can take, put that onto your application. A high GPA and that personal essay, even though it's optional, needs to be a killer essay and needs to have the best story about how you're going to make that university a better school because you're going to attend there.
Right.
So So when they read that, they need to read it with, wow, I want that kind of kid. And you can't talk about something that unfortunately, we all go through. We've all gone through the pandemic. We've all had, struggles in life. We've all broken a bone and couldn't make a team. So we need to find something in your life that will catch the attention that makes you stand out above everybody else.
Unique. Yeah.
It's really unique. So you've got to put those components together, put them in your toolbox, and send off your application and make sure that the readers want you at their university.
Yeah. So if somebody is interested in the classrooms that you spoke about a little bit earlier and having that space for their kid, how do they get in touch with you to make that happen?
So they could reach out using my cell phone, which I think you guys are going to put on the
it'll be
TV.
there.
Is really the best way. I am overloaded booked at 2 of the locations, so we're working on a 3rd location at the moment, but otherwise it's such a needed service. It filled up almost overnight with people on the waiting list and looking for things to happen. And I think more so parents just need, like us, we need a purpose every morning. We need a place to report to. We need to have a to-do list. And we're going to create that to-do list. We're going to give them a place to report to, and we're going to give them basically marching orders on how to get that done.
Well, Amanda, thanks for being with us. It was great information. So much to talk about, and I appreciate your expertise in it. And we'll be right back with more Girl Talk.